It's like you told me, go for it slowly. It's not a race till the end. Well, you look like yourself, but you're somebody else. Only it ain't on the surface. Well, you talk like yourself. No, I hear someone else. Though now you're making me nervous.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Morning Coffee with your host, Rick Alexander. I just want to say, for the third straight month in a row, we hit a record number of listens. And I guess I just want to say thank you. Like, I fucking appreciate you. Literally, I mean, other than writing, this is the thing that I really love doing. So knowing that the message is growing and that I get to continue to grow and do this thing I love, like when I decided to do Morning Coffee, it kind of felt like I was going out on a limb. And I was nervous. And so to get the sort of validation and feedback from y'all that it's helping and changing and, you know, changing lives and just doing what I want it to do and helping y'all change your own lives, like that's the thing for me. Like that is the carrot. So I just want to say I really appreciate it. If y'all want to continue to share it, I'm at Rick Alexander _ and at Lionheart Radio on Instagram. Also curious, like what you guys think about the themed weeks. You hit me up, let me know. I mean, I don't even know if it matters for y'all, but for me, I kind of like having a focus for each show. It helps me sort of arrange the media calendar a little bit better. And obviously a lot of these, I mean, I will never, ever give you any lesson that I've not bled for. Like that is a guarantee. I think that there's so much recycled advice out there, which we talked when I did that whole stress test your ideas in the arena thing, like that whole episode, like I really live by that. And so most of you, or some of you might know, like I just transitioned out of the military, became a civilian full-time, officially a homeless vet, so that's cool. Traveling around, headed to Australia right now as this airs and going there to write my second book. But I'm going to continue to do Morning Coffee. And when I thought about my decision to leave the military, I thought about how many people are contending with these decisions all the time. Like maybe you're not leaving the military, but maybe you want to leave a job, or maybe you want to leave a relationship, or maybe you want to just like take on a new hobby. Like, I don't know. Like there's so many different, we're always contending with the idea of pivoting in life and making a different decision. And so the theme for this week is, should you jump? Should you make that decision? So what I want to do is outline the reason that I decided to make that decision in the first place. And then hopefully you can glean from that. So this first episode of Should You Jump is all about values. I'm going to talk about my values, and I'm going to talk about why you have to stay true to your values and what they require of you. And then every other episode, I'm going to tie back to values, because for me, that is really the thing that it's all going to come down to. When you make a really big decision in life, and sometimes you make those decisions and you're not supported by other people, you've got to know that you're staying true to your values. That's the thing that's going to carry you through the really tough times. So Should You Jump, episode 1, values. Because what do you do when something that's controlled every aspect of your life for more than a decade is no longer present? Or when you come to a point in life where change and upheaval is inevitable, regardless of how uncomfortable you know it's going to get. See, on one hand, the freedom's intoxicating. The idea that you can be, do, or create whatever you want going forward, that's a driving force behind many decisions to pivot in life. And was certainly the driving force behind my own. But on the other hand, that kind of freedom can be paralyzing. You're no longer standing on past accomplishments or merits. The world cares very little about what you've done in the past life, especially if you can't sell it to them. Now, the pressure is acutely on your shoulders to once again perform. See, when you were younger, the pressure was there too, but you didn't feel it like you do now. Now we're playing a different game. Now you're not simply doing what everyone else in their stage of life is doing and quote unquote figuring it out. Now you're a renegade of sorts. See, if you succeed in what you want to do, you're going to be a hero. They'll come out of the woodwork to emulate your style and congratulate you on your own prowess. But if you fail, however, they're going to come out of the woodwork as well. But it won't be with praise. I told you so's will be rampant, and armchair quarterbacks will assure each other that they were right, that you never should have taken on such a risk in the first place. And then you'll be left trying to pick up the pieces, however old you are. Certainly too old to be picking up pieces like this. See, I'm intimately familiar with these feelings. I'm contending with them because I'm about to turn 32 years old and I'm burning the ships. I'm leaving a stable career with purpose most people couldn't dream of. I'm separating from the military after almost 12 years of service, and I don't have a job of equal pay, benefits, or any other metric that most people would consider valuable. I'm getting out to be a writer, a speaker, and a coach, for God's sakes. I'm very much a believe in yourself and take it one day at a time type of move. But I've decided to jump simply because I can't stay. There's been a feeling boiling up inside of me for the better part of the last 4 years, and I can't ignore it anymore. I can't subjugate the side of myself that wants to lay it all on the line, and from now on, I won't. I have to know what might lie on the other side of something ventured. And that's a good lesson one for should you jump. I mean, do you feel like you have a choice? Because for me, it felt like I didn't. See, in some sense, parts of my career went nothing like I wanted them to. But in another sense, like I've gained more than I could have ever imagined or hoped for. But despite the ups and downs, I'm not making this jump because of any one detail. And I don't think that you should either. I've thought long and hard about the desire to leave something when almost everyone else in your life thinks that you should stay. So perhaps the idea of going rogue has been tugging at you for a bit. Maybe a pivot in career, relationship, or some other part of your life. If you're anything like me, you can't help but keep looking at the odds because they aren't good and they certainly don't seem to be in your favor. Whether or not you jump is completely up to you. I just want to provide some insight around my own decision to recklessly pursue the exact life that I want because it came down to values. That's what contributed to my decision to pivot, and it's my hope that if you weigh your own values against your own situation, they might provide a little bit of clarity. Because at the end of the day, despite the odds, the armchair quarterbacks, and the litany of reasons why it won't work out, the one thing I can say with conviction is that I have absolute clarity around my decision. I know what I'm building, and I know who I'm building it for. I'm setting sail with a destination in mind, regardless of how rough the seas might get in that process. And it's all about value. Everything in life is guided by what it truly values, and that goes for people and organizations. It might be that values are stated outright somewhere, but in my experience, that really doesn't make a damn bit of difference. Like your true values are always reflected in your behavior, plain and simple. Now, this can be tricky because there's a good chance that what you value is hidden in your subconscious and buried under a false god. For example, you might have a million options for what you could do, but if your false god is safety and comfort above all else, you won't see them. You'll keep saying it's not the right time to leave or that you won't find anything else comparable. But at the end of the day, these statements, and many like them, are just a prayer to the God that you're serving. They're manufactured and they're keeping you from your life, even if you aren't aware of your own servitude. See, in some sense, we're all caught between a daring heart and a very cautious mind. See, your heart wants you to go big and to have what you really want and value. But your mind remembers every single time things didn't work out, or when you were picked on or felt stupid, and it doesn't want you to relive that experience. The key to our lives is being aware of which part of you is controlling the narrative, and then being able to leverage both the mind and the heart so that you can find a reasonable path forward that also works within the biggest picture of what you really want for yourself. Because once you do bring your values to the surface, you can begin figuring out if you actually value that thing, or if some part of you is simply living in survival mode. But unfortunately, that's not even where the real work begins. What many people have trouble accepting is exactly all that their true values are going to require of them. Because to be honest, that part sucks. It's going to make you uncomfortable beyond measure. Okay, so I'll give you an example. The number one thing I value in life is growth. Above all else, when I'm in a situation where I no longer learn or grow, I reject it in like spectacular ways. I'll self-sabotage, I'll shake things up, I'll straight up leave. It's taken me a very long time to realize the signs of stagnation and how they truly affect me. But this is where you have to be honest with yourself. I've ruined things I really cared about because I didn't have the maturity to see the exact scenario for what it is. See, the fact that I value growth means that I am often going to outgrow situations, jobs, relationships. This isn't a dig at them. It's like a deeply personal characteristic. See, because I outgrew my job in the military doesn't mean that it's below me. It means that I have a very strict expectation of my environment. And if I don't honor that expectation, I'm gonna be fucking miserable. And that's like, a lot of times we think like, oh, you outgrow your squad. And it's like, okay, that they're not below you. Like my deep value for growth also means I'm gonna overthink situations a lot. I'm also going to want to learn and grow and solve, and that can be exhausting. It also means I'll be alone more than I want to be. Like certain relationships are going to go by the wayside as I try to level up. And again, like I want to stress that simply because you value one thing and someone else values another, it doesn't in any way signify worth. Just because you outgrow your friend circle and they value fun in the moment isn't about some hierarchy. It's about finding authenticity for your life and your life alone. It's simply different strokes. But I'll say this. If you don't honor your true values, which might be freedom, might be honesty, might be integrity, you won't be able to live with yourself. And look, you deserve more than the version of you that simply accepts a life you're not even proud of. The number one reason I can think of to jump is a matter of what you value. If the needs of your values aren't being met, you have to go find somewhere they are. For me, growth, freedom, and producing intellectual work that matters are just too strong to stay where I'm at. Your values can and should be the biggest reason that you pivot in life. And you could logically draw every other reason back to something you do or do not value. Just be sure that you're actually being true to yours and paying what they require. And I will talk to you tomorrow. Something for you guys to think about. What do you value? What does that value cost? Like, what are you willing to pay for it? Get really clear about that. And look, be true to yourself. If your values are not being met, you got to go find somewhere they are. That situation can be uncomfortable. That can suck, but that's life. We got to learn. We got to grow. We got to evolve. Sometimes we got to jump. I'll talk to you tomorrow on Morning Coffee.